Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the next in our series of webinars, Life on a UK University Campus, What to Expect and How to be Best Prepared. I'm Rachael Gibb and I'll be presenting to you today. So just a little about myself. I have recently graduated from the University of Edinburgh with a bachelor's in psychology. And no, before you think it, I can't read your mind. But for anyone who is unsure, Edinburgh is the capital city of Scotland. So upon finishing my degree, I come to work with the Chopras in Delhi with the aim of gaining some international work experience. And what can I say? Not only have I gained amazing work experience, but also invaluable life experience. And that extends further than crossing a road in Delhi and living to tell the tale. So hopefully I can share some of my experiences of studying in the UK and living away from home with you all today. And as we progress through the session, if you would like me to clarify anything or if you have any questions, you can submit these through the question dialog box on the right-hand side of your screen, and I will try my best to answer them as they come along. And I really do encourage you to submit your questions so we can make this an interactive experience. Saying that, if we don't get a chance to answer your questions during the session, one of our trained members of staff at the Chopras will be responding to your queries in the coming days. So let's begin. So in this session, I plan to cover the actual cost of living and travel in the UK, finding accommodation, methods of teaching, methods of assessment where I'll share some tips for success, plagiarism, available academic support, understanding student associations and clubs, and a typical day in the life of a student. Oh, and also part-time work opportunities. So firstly, what you all or what your parents may need to know before going to study in the UK is the actual cost of living. So according to the UK Visa and Immigration, living expenses are approximately £1,000 a month in London and £800 a month for the rest of the UK. And this is because, of course, London is the capital of the UK. And I would agree this is pretty accurate. So my budget was around £700 per month at my time at university. But I should say this is the bare minimum. So if you're a shopaholic or if you're planning to engage in any expensive extracurricular activities, then of course you'll need more. So this cost is accurate, but it definitely varies according to your lifestyle. And cue the sigh of relief from parents. There are many discounts available to students in the UK. So carry your student card everywhere. So you'll be issued your student card in the first week, that is orientation week. And you can expect to receive between 10 and 15% discount in all high street stores. And as well, the NUS card will give you discount from different restaurants and again high street stores. The Apple discount's another good one for students. If you plan on buying yourself a shiny new laptop like I did, then you can gain a 15% discount there. Also, there are plenty of travel discounts available in the UK. So I really encourage you to travel whilst you're there. The UK is very well connected by rail and bus and coaches, so these are a great way of travelling from city to city. So you can purchase a rail card for £30 for the year, and that allows you to save 1/3 of every journey. And I bought a rail card whilst I was at university, so I could travel home. And really, in the long run, this did pay for itself. So we'll move on to finding accommodation. So of course you'll need to put a roof over your head. And the big question presenting itself here is, should I go for university or private accommodation? So most universities provide and manage accommodation to first-year students in the form of halls of residence. And in fact, most universities can actually guarantee a spot to their first-year students. Private accommodation, on the other hand, is more popular among second-year students and above. So I opted for university accommodation in my first year of university, and it was a really amazing experience. So I lived in an apartment with 5 other girls, and I'm actually still friends with them today. So as well as it being a really great social experience, you also have a great support network from the moment you arrive. So you'll have accommodation managers on site as well as resident advisors. So resident advisors are 3rd or 4th year students, and really I see them as damage control as well. They're great for those late nights when you turn up at your accommodation and you're locked out because you've forgotten your keys. So some of the factors that I thought you should consider before applying for accommodation should really help you to to work out whether university or private accommodation is for you. So firstly, whether you prefer shared or individual accommodation. So most university accommodation is shared. As I said, I shared with 5 other girls. And again, it was just a really great social experience throughout. And mixed or single gender, that is something again you can select at the application stage. The third point is catered or non-catered. So I've never heard of a private accommodation offering a catered option. So if you want a catered accommodation, then definitely university accommodation is for you. Again, they offer self-catered, so if you fancy yourself as a top chef, then you can select self-catered accommodation, and that's what I did. But you don't have to know how to cook to go for self-catered. I have many friends who could cook less than 3 meals. And again, it's a really great experience to learn alongside friends. So we used to do a lot of potluck dinners and have a lot of friends over. We'd all cook a meal. So self-catered is a great way to learn. And proximity to university campus. So if you're anything like myself and plan on rolling out of bed and into your lectures in the morning, then you want to select an accommodation that's close to the main university campus. So obviously university accommodation does tend to be situated on or near to the university campus, whereas private accommodation tends to be located a little further out. So that's definitely another thing to consider. And duration of stay required, definitely check this out before you go. Some accommodation is only available during term time, whereas others will extend throughout the summer vacation period. So I guess it's a very important factor for international students. And last but certainly not least is budget. So cost obviously varies significantly depending on the type of accommodation you choose. But don't worry, university accommodation does cater to all budgets. And as a whole, I just found university accommodation to be cheaper because the total price includes all of your bills. So it's great because you can live independently of your parents but still escape that responsibility of paying bills just a little bit longer. So I think we'll stop there and we'll take some questions. So we have a question here from Meta, and she would like to know what the weather is like in the UK. Goodness, this is a very popular question. The amount I've been asked this question at my time in the Chopras. Well, obviously, Meta, it is a lot colder in the UK than it is here in India. But I can assure you it isn't always raining. Even when it does rain, it only tends to rain for a short period of time. But of course, the weather can be very unpredictable. There are days where I swear I see 4 seasons in the one day. So I recommend just investing in a good waterproof coat, outdoor shoes and a good umbrella. And of course, all of these things are readily available in the UK. Okay, so more questions coming in. I have a keen bunch today. Okay. So we have a question here. Do we choose our roommates or are they allocated? So this is a really good question. The roommates will be allocated to you if you're living in an apartment. So as I said, I opted for university accommodation and I opted to live with only females. So you can't choose, but they have Facebook groups you can join beforehand. So you'll be told, say I was in Robertson's Close accommodation. So you can often search for this on Facebook. And this is the way I found out before actually moving into my accommodation who I would be living with. So if you're unsure of who you'll be living with, it's worth a try finding out if a Facebook group has already been set up. Private accommodation, on the other hand, that affords more choice and flexibility about who you live with. And that's why it's such a great option for second and third year, because you've already had first year to make friends and have that time to decide who you'd like to live with. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so we'll move on to methods of teaching. So I'd like to just share some information about the structure of courses, because obviously you're all going there to study. So methods of teaching will vary depending on the course and the university you choose, of course. So this is another reason why it's beneficial to really research your university before applying. But most courses will be taught through lectures. So these are really large classes and they normally last between 1 to 2 hours. So when I say large, I mean large. My first year lectures had nearly 300 students in them. So these classes tend to be less interactive. You have a lecturer who will guide you through your subject and introduce you to the new concepts and theories. And as I said, they're less interactive. What you'll be expected to do is to take notes throughout. So these may be handwritten or typed on a laptop. My advice to you here is to record your lectures. So I invested in a dictaphone. You can buy a dictaphone for approximately £30 in any electrical store in the UK. And it's really helpful come exam time because lecturers really do pack their lectures full of information, and really useful information it is. So if you can listen to your lectures again when it's during exam time, then it is really helpful. And seminars and tutorials, now these terms are used interchangeably, but they really just refer to smaller classes where you'll be with between 8 to 12 other students. And unlike lectures, these classes are really interactive. So here you will be given the opportunity to debate and discuss a specific topic or piece of work. So usually they'll follow on from lectures and will be related to the topics taught in lectures. And you'll often be asked to prepare ideas or presentations in advance. So maybe a week in advance you'll be given a specific reading. And also, tutors are usually the ones that will mark your coursework, so it's a really great opportunity to ask for feedback, ask as many questions as you can. And practical labs. So only some courses include practical workshops. They're actually very popular in the science and engineering-based courses. And these allow students an opportunity to apply and test the theory they have learned in lectures. And I should say these normally last longer, anywhere between 3 and 4 hours, but they're really useful. I found these actually sometimes more beneficial than the lectures themselves. So, methods of assessment. So with all that teaching, of course, comes some assessment. It's not all fun and games at UK universities. So at the beginning, I should say here, at the beginning of the year, you will be given a course handbook, and this will list the deadlines for your assessments. And when I say deadlines, I really mean deadlines in every sense of the word. So if they say your essay is due on November 10th at 4 o'clock, it is due at November 10th at 4 o'clock. Even 5 minutes late you will incur a 5% penalty on your overall mark. So what I recommend is consulting your course handbook at the beginning of the year. Have your deadlines visible and really prepare a schedule around those deadlines to ensure you get all of your work in on time. So yeah, you'll do some coursework, and essays are the most common form of coursework. And usually essays in the UK tend to be anywhere between 2,000 and 3,000 words in length. And I advise, again here, consulting the course handbook. Really, the course handbook is like the student Bible. So consult your course handbook. They normally will provide a really good list of assessment criteria for the essays. So they provide a good start for writing your essays. And written examinations, these are unseen and time constrained. They usually come at the end of each semester. And I know I just said your deadlines will be published in the course handbook, but the actual examination dates are not normally published until 1 to 2 months before the exams will start. So, and a dissertation. Now, dissertations are applicable to both undergraduate and postgraduate students, and I describe the dissertation as the pinnacle of your degree. So I'm sure as soon as you start university, you'll hear dissertation over and over again. It's something that so many students seem to dread, and I myself dreaded it. I did it in my 4th year, but actually I found it to be a really positive experience. So it's a chance for you to choose a specific area of your subject that you're genuinely interested in, and do some independent research on that area. So as well as that, you'll do a lot of reading. So this will come at the end and is worth a substantial amount of your overall mark. So be prepared for your dissertation. And formative assessment. Now, for this type of assessment doesn't contribute to your final mark given for any module. Instead, it contributes to your learning through providing feedback. So you may hand in a piece of work to your tutor, and they'll tell you what is good about it and why. Now, this is talking from experience. There are so many times that myself and friends have skipped on these assessments or thought, oh, they're not worth part of the overall mark. I'm not going to put that much effort, but really I did regret this because it's the feedback you get from these that will help you when you come to writing formal pieces of work that do count. So I advise that you do put as much effort into these assessments as possible. So I think we'll take some more questions there. Some more questions. So a question from Sandy. After the completion of my course, can I stay back and search for a job? So with the Tier 4 visa, you will have your 12, if you're doing a postgraduate course, for example, you will have the 12 months for your course and you will have a 4-month stay back option at the end of your course. So of course, if you are offered a job, then you can stay back, but I should say that this job would have to have an earning of at least £20,000 per year to stay for a stay back option in the UK. The questions keep moving. So many questions here. So another great question from Pranita. Hi Pranita. So how much time do we need to allocate every day for studying in a postgraduate course? So of course I did an undergraduate course, but I really did work hard during my time there. So be prepared to treat your studies like a 9-to-5 job. During exam time, a 9-to-9 job, even 24/7 really. I studied for at least 6 hours a day, and that was during just normal day-to-day studying. During exam time, I spent up to 12 hours studying a day, so really be prepared to study a lot whilst at university there. Okay, we'll move on. Some tips for success. So, I actually spent my first and second year really just trying to get my head around what lectures were expecting. You know, they'll go on about essay writing tips and critical analysis, and all these things really didn't mean that much to me until I got into my third year. So really what they want is, again, in their course handbook for each module, lecturers will provide you with a set reading list. So of course, read this list and get to know it well, but in order to excel in UK universities, you really need to read out with this list. So in your essays or even in your examinations, if you can include information that has not been explicitly taught yet is still relevant to your subject, then that will really give you that extra edge. And I do encourage you to do that. You know, you're travelling all these miles to study in the UK. Why not go that extra mile and really excel in your degree? So read it with your course, and I encourage you, I used to use databases such as Web of Science. That's just one database of many, and you will be able to access these through your university library page. So these are really great sources for up-to-date published journals. So if you can include information from this type of work, then it really will. That's how you get a first-class degree in UK universities. My next tip is actually aimed at those going to study a bachelor's degree. So the UK education system is very flexible, and in your first year, as well as studying your main subject, you will also have the opportunity to study some outside subjects. So as well as psychology, I studied sociology, social anthropology, you name it, I studied it in my first year. So it is just a really great way to study other subjects. But my advice here is to choose something that you're interested in. So myself, I've done this. I have chosen a subject that has allowed me to have, say, a Friday off university, and I wasn't really that interested in the subject, and it really did reflect on my overall mark. So again, choose subjects that you are genuinely interested in. And we'll go to some more questions. What are the part-time jobs available? So if you hold on, I will come to cover this as the webinar continues, Adrian. We'll go to a question here from Rahul. So Rahul wants to know about general academic entry criteria for admission to an undergraduate programme at UK universities. Hi Rahul, so thank you for tuning into the webinar. To answer your question, the entry criteria varies greatly, and that's not just from university to the other, but also on the basis of the subject in which you're going to study. So the percentage of marks required for admission might also vary depending on the board through which you've passed your Year 12 exams. So just to give you an example, at my university, that is the University of Edinburgh, the minimum entry requirement for undergraduate study is an overall 80% in Standard 12 from CBSE, and that's with 3 subjects at 75%, including English. Saying that, however, there are several UK universities that might accept you with an overall 70 or 75%, while again there may be others that require 85% in Class 12. So that just shows there is considerable variation there. So my advice to you is really just do some in-depth research. You can also seek assistance from the experts here at the Chopras. They will tell you about, they will recommend universities that are best fit for you, and that's not just in terms of eligibility, but also several other important factors, such as location, affordability, rankings, and course preference, all things you need to consider before applying. So I hope that answers your question at home. We'll take another question here from Neha. This is again related to entry requirements for UK universities. And Neha wants to know about English language requirements. That's a great question. Hi Neha, as I've mentioned before in response to Rahul's question, the entry requirements at UK universities vary greatly, and the same applies to English language requirements. So there may be universities which would accept you on the basis of your English marks in Class 12. This would waive off the need for you to take an IELTS. But the accepted percentage might range from 65 to 75%. At the same time, however, UK universities some require specific scores in IELTS as evidence of English language proficiency for direct entry to its undergraduate and postgraduate degree courses. Even if it's not mandatory, I do advise that you take an IELTS, as the top universities in the UK do tend to ask for this. Okay, so we'll move on to the next topic, plagiarism. This is another tip for success. So plagiarism is taken very seriously in the UK. Avoid plagiarism as if it were the plague, honestly. By definition, plagiarism is the act of taking another person's work and presenting it as your own. So in simple terms, really, it's just copying another person's work. So the key thing here is to employ the principles of good academic practice. So I've listed some of the ways you can do this here. So only submit work that is your own. Use citation marks when you cite something directly. Reference sources correctly. So again, consult your course handbook. They'll often provide details or links to websites that will tell you how to reference correctly. Avoid taking all of your ideas from one source, and avoid too much paraphrasing. So universities in the UK have really invested a lot of money in technology that can identify plagiarised work. So after writing a piece of handwork for a piece of coursework, for example, you'll be asked to submit it through an online system, and that can detect what percentage of your work has been plagiarised. Also, I should remind you here that you're being taught by some leading experts in the field in UK universities. So they know their area very well. So they'll know if you're copying a piece of work. You know, it's like trying to change a few words of Macbeth and submit it to Shakespeare. They will know if you've copied from published material. So just avoid plagiarism. And if I've not scared you enough, they'll definitely drum this into you when you start university. So I'm guessing it could be quite overwhelming talking about all of these assessments and whatnot at the UK universities, but of course there are plenty of plenty academic support available. So each student will be assigned a personal tutor, so if you have any problems you can see them, and they're also your first point of call if you can't hand in any assigned work. And actually I found that during my time I didn't really need to see my personal tutor too often. Lecturers and class tutors, they will have office hours. So as I said, lectures are really massive. You can have hundreds of students in one lecture. So I can understand I didn't want to put my hand up and ask a question during these sessions. But I encourage you just to go along to their office hours. They're a really great opportunity to ask questions and find out if you're on the right path. So peer support system. Many universities offer this. So these are student-run help desks, some offer mentoring schemes. For example, a first year might be paired with a third or fourth year. And another thing that's worth checking out is that some universities provide a peer proofreading scheme for students whose first language is not English. So you can have your essay read over by, say, a third or fourth year student from the UK. So this is another great academic support. And class representatives, they're elected at the beginning of the year, and you yourself can run for class representative. Looks really good on your CV, but the class representatives act as a good link between students and academic staff. And I thought I would just include Prepare for Success here. Now, Prepare for Success is actually an interactive web learning tool for international students. So it's designed to equip students with the skills needed for effective study and provide the knowledge about different aspects of academic life in the UK. So I've included the link for Prepare for Success at the end of this webinar, so it's definitely worth checking out before you go. So I think we'll take some more questions here. Just bear with me, there's lots of questions. So a question from Ashish, what is the average time of classes in colleges per week? So the average time for classes is anywhere between 12 to 18 hours class time. So that would include your lectures, your tutorials, any practical labs. But really I viewed it as a 40-hour week because I spent the rest of the time studying in the library. So I hope that answers your question, Ashish. We'll move on, we'll take one more question here. So the next question here relates to scholarship options available at UK universities. And this question is from Shivan. Hi Shivan. Almost every UK university actually offers scholarship options for international students. And again, these options have a wide variety. So several UK universities offer automatic discounts ranging anywhere between £500 to £3,000 on annual tuition fees. A range of merit-based country-specific scholarships are offered by a large number of universities. Also, many UK universities offer competitive scholarships that are open to all international students or students from specific countries. For example, at my university in Edinburgh, they offer a number of scholarships specifically for international students, such as Edinburgh Global Undergraduate Scholarships. So these are very competitive, of course, and are awarded on academic merit to students who they're awarded to students who have been accepted for full-time undergraduate study at the university. So hopefully that just gives you some examples of scholarship options available. Okay, I'll move on to understanding student associations and clubs. So it's not all work and no play at UK universities. They offer a lot of different student clubs and societies. So every new student will gain automatic membership to their university's student association, and these are being really created to support students. And I should say these clubs and societies really are an integral part of student life. So most students will be involved in at least one club or one society. And they offer absolutely everything from cricket, I know that's a popular one in India, you'll get that in the UK, to hill walking. I actually took up skiing during my time at university, so I'd never skied before in my entire life. And I went on 3 consecutive ski trips, so there's almost everything, something to suit everyone. And even if you don't find something that suits you, then there's scope for starting your own society, but that really is a challenge because they offer hundreds of things. So also they have international societies. So they're great. They often offer host cultural nights, and they organise trips to different parts of the UK. So if you're feeling a bit homesick, I guess you can join an international society. But don't just stick to the international societies. I advise you to branch out, try new things as well. Subject-specific societies. So I was speaking about academic support earlier, and actually one thing I found to be of massive support academically was having friends on my course. So you can join these subject-specific society, for example, the Business Management Society. and you'll meet other people on your course there. And there, it was just really great having friends to, during exam time, for example, when you're stressed out over one simple question, or with the numerous tea breaks that we had to try and calm each other down during the most stressful times. So join your subject-specific society and you'll meet friends on your course there. And religious student societies, so these are great and allow you to connect with students of the same faith. So really you can find out about these during orientation week. So as well as being provided with academic information, you'll also be able to go along to the student at the sports and society fairs during Freshers Week. Okay, let's take some more questions. I think someone's linked into the wrong webinar. They're asking me about Australia here. Okay, we have another question here from Vikram, and again he's asking about the typical number of hours that you should attend class per week. So as I said, that's 15 to hours, 12, anywhere between 12 to 18 hours per week. And another question here, this is an interesting one from Varun, who wants to know if entrance exams are required for UK universities. Hi Varun, so most of the courses do not require any tests as British universities except the Indian academic marks. But there are a few professional courses like LLB and medicine that require tests such as LNAT. GMAT 2 is also required for MBA or Masters, but only at select universities. So if you're concerned about tests, about different entrance exams, and again, you can come and speak to one of the counsellors at the Chopras. They seem to have the knowledge on every university and every entrance exam available. So hopefully that answers your question. So a typical day in the life of a student is my next topic, and this really just summarises what I said so far. So again, I'll repeat, treat your studies like a 9-to-5 job. Each day you'll get up and attend class and then spend quite a lot of time studying. So I used to spend time in the library almost every day from Monday to Friday at least. And socialise, this is a really, really important factor. So especially in the UK, employers are really looking for someone who's well-rounded. So as well as doing well academically, you can have straight A's, they also want someone who has taken part in some extracurricular activity. So just keep that in your mind when you go. You want to be a well-rounded student. So as well as attending class and studying hard, also make time to try new clubs and to socialise. Okay, the burning question is on most of your lips. I'm seeing many questions pop up here about the part-time work opportunities in the UK. And as international students, maybe just give me a second. So yeah, as international students, who, if you're studying a full-time undergraduate or postgraduate degree at a recognised university, you're entitled to work part-time during term time for up to 20 hours per week. And we have a national minimum wage in place in the UK. So students between the ages of 18 to 21 can earn around £5.13 per hour, I believe, and students 21 years and above can earn £6.50 per hour. And it is actually really common for people to take up part-time work whilst at university. I worked and a lot of my friends did. So just to give you some examples of the popular part-time jobs for students, you can work in your student union, so doing catering, for example, or many students work in the hospitality or retail sector. So if you're planning to take up a part-time job, then the career service at your university is very helpful. So they will provide a service completely free of charge. And here they advertise work opportunities. So they'll advertise their job vacancies through a careers portal, and this portal is only accessible by students from that university. So it's really great because they advertise really student-friendly jobs, jobs that they have deemed to be suitable and that they think will fit in well around your timetable. So definitely, if you're looking for part-time work, then consult your career service first. They can also assist you with applications and CVs, so you can hand in a first draft to them and they can tell you how to make improvements, which is really great as it really helps you to showcase your talents and definitely makes you easier to get a job. And they also run mock interviews. So I've taken a mock interview with the Career Service quite a few times, and they are again really helpful. Another thing you should definitely attend is the careers fair run by the Career Service. So most universities will run these fairs, and these really provide a great chance to meet employers and educate yourself about the large number of potential career opportunities. So I just wanted to share some of my personal experience of gaining work experience at my time at university. So make direct contact with employers. So this is what I did, and this is a really great way if you're looking to secure a placement that's related to your degree subject. So I'm really interested in research. As I said, I do psychology. So I actually found a group of researchers who were carrying out a study funded by the UK government. This was last summer. And what I did was I just sent them a direct email, just telling them who I was, what I was studying, who I am, what I was studying, and why I was interested in working with them. And they were actually just really impressed that I used my own initiative to contact them directly, and they offered me an internship almost instantly. Now I should say that this internship was voluntary, but I spoke to the career service again at my university, and they said because it's an internship that's related to my degree, then the university may be able to offer some funding. So I guess it's a bit like a scholarship. I had to submit an application and write an essay about what I was doing and why it would help me in my future career with my future career. And they actually funded. They gave me a scholarship and funded me throughout my summer internship. So again, if you're looking to secure a placement that's directly related to your degree, then as well as consulting the career service, definitely make direct contact with employers. As well as this, you can visit company websites and LinkedIn. That is definitely a very much up and coming thing in the UK. More and more students and employers have made a LinkedIn account. So here you can upload your CV and a bit about yourself, and it gives employers an opportunity to contact you directly. So if you're looking for work when you enter the UK, then definitely make a LinkedIn profile. So that's all for me. I've just included some useful links at the end, so some websites for part-time work opportunities, prepare for success, and if you're interested in travel, then I've included some travel information at the end here. So any questions? So I think we'll move on to more questions now. Wait, so I just scroll through the massive list of questions I have here. Bear with me, guys. Okay, so this is a great question from Deepika. Is a sandwich course better than a 3-year undergraduate course? Hi, Deepika. That's a great question because sandwich courses, for anyone who isn't aware, you usually spend your 3rd year working for a company. So this industrial experience, no doubt, is immensely helpful as it enables you to gain relevant industrial experience as part of your studies. Besides the money that you earn during this year, you also gain practical experience that can be invaluable both in your final year project and when applying for jobs after graduating. So yes, Deepika, I'd definitely say that a sandwich year has a definite advantage over a 3-year undergraduate programme. And hopefully that answers that question. How much does it cost to live in London? Hopefully I answered that at the beginning, so around £1,000 per month for London poor parents. So a question here from Rehab. Are university club memberships also open to postgraduate students or only to undergraduate students? Of course, they're open to all students, postgraduate and undergraduate students. So definitely you can get as involved as any other student. And actually there are quite a lot of clubs that are aimed just towards postgraduate students, so definitely worth checking that out. And another question about societies. So are there any fees to join these societies? This depends on what society you join. So the costs do vary. Some are free, like for example the subject-specific society. So say you're studying business management, it's completely free to join that society. But some do incur some costs, but they are obviously cheaper than joining clubs in the local society to join the university clubs. And another question, how many clubs can we join? As many as you wish, but of course remember you have to study, so don't go too crazy. But definitely Freshers Week, as I said, Orientation Week is a really great chance to try out clubs. So this is a week when, I should have said this before actually, in Orientation Week a lot of clubs will provide students with a taster session. So you can go along completely free of charge and try out the club, and then you can decide if you want to pay the fees for joining. So definitely again attend Orientation Week, try out as many clubs as you want, you'll have no classes during Orientation Week, and then you can find out what you really are interested in to participate in for the rest of the semester. And what about study pressure? Study pressure, I guess, is something you put on yourself. I definitely put a lot of pressure on myself. So that depends how motivated you are to work hard. So you really have to go in with the mindset of the right amount of putting pressure on yourself, but also giving yourself that time to relax and enjoy some extracurricular activities. And another question here from Ashush. This is a good question. Back to accommodation again. So can you tell me how easy it is to find budget accommodation in the UK? So again, just repeat from earlier, university accommodation does tend to be cheaper because it includes all bills. And if you're doing an undergraduate degree and and you're going on for second, third, fourth year, then you can find a budget accommodation in what terms, what is privately rented accommodation. So if you meet friends in first year, then you can share an apartment, and that tends to be cheaper because you can split all the costs and split your bills as well. So this is what I did. I was in the halls of residence for first year, where I met my friends I lived with for second, third, and fourth year. And another question here from Precious. So can one manage a part-time job while one's studying? So as I said earlier, I did and a lot of my friends did. My job was only between 3 and 6 hours a week though, and I felt that was definitely enough. So although you can work up to 20 hours per week, often you just can't do it with all the studying and taking part in clubs. It's just too much to take on, especially during exam season. So as I said, my part-time job, I only worked for between 3 and 6 hours a week, and that was more than enough for me. And a question here from Shooty, do we need to get our laptops? Yes, I would advise definitely taking a laptop or purchasing a laptop in the UK. They're not only great for taking notes during your lectures, but also a lot of the courses they have like online portals, and they'll be posting questions online, so you'll definitely need a laptop for your time at university. And Rehab again has asked me, can you give some tips for local travel in the UK? So I guess by local travel, I'm taking that to mean within and travel around your city. So every major city in the UK has a really great bus system. So I've had people ask me in the office, will I need a car in the UK? And it's definitely not something that I required, and it's actually quite expensive for parking. So there's a very good local bus service, and normally you just pay the money for the ticket as you go onto the bus. So it's really easy to travel around your cities. And just to add here, there are obviously taxis available, and they're obviously very convenient, but they're very, very expensive, especially compared to autos here in India. So the taxis will charge you by the meter. So I advise only using these when necessary. Otherwise, they will run your budget dry if you go by taxi everywhere. How is the teaching staff? Another question from Shruti. The teaching staff are amazing. Like that's something that I was just so impressed with during my time at university. You really do feel like you are being taught by leading professionals in the field, and they just seem to know absolutely everything. So as I said again, that's a really great to go along during their office hours and speak more with them because the staff are really great. And the tutors as well. Sometimes the tutors will be postgraduate students this is for undergraduate students, and them again, they're really keen, really willing to help. So the teaching staff are great. Someone's asked me how is life in Edinburgh. Yeah, life in Edinburgh is very good. Edinburgh is definitely provides the best of both worlds. As I said, it's the capital of Scotland, so you have everything that a major city would include. And as well as that, it's very, very beautiful. So I had a great time in Edinburgh. Thank you. Sorry I'm taking so long between questions. There are so many to get through here. So a question here from Rahul, does £1,000 include rent? So I'm taking you mean the £1,000 per month. Yes, that includes rent. So that is an overall cost for accommodation, books, any general living expense. But again, as I said at the start, that is a very basic cost. So that's the bare minimum that you will need, £1,000 for London. So this is a very interesting question actually from Pranaka. Hi Pranaka. How about racism in the UK? So the UK is a very much a multicultural society, and thousands of international students come every year to study in the UK. So I really wouldn't say it's a problem at all. That's one thing I loved about studying in the UK actually, as I met people from all over the world. So really I wouldn't say if you're concerned racism is not a problem in UK universities, and it's again taken very, very seriously. So if you experience any problems whatsoever, then that would be dealt as a serious offence. So it really isn't a problem in the UK, according to my opinion. Okay, so I've just had a look at the time, and sadly time is up. So that's all from me. I hope the information I've shared will be beneficial to you, and thanks for tuning in today. It's been very enjoyable and a very beneficial experience for myself. And apologies if I've not been able to answer your question today. But as I said at the beginning, a member of staff from the Chopras will be in touch very soon to clarify your queries. So thanks again and all the best with your future study plans.